What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony Michael Russo. Time for a quick blunt force logic because I'm on my way to something right now. I'm just a couple blocks away, and I got to talk for about 5 minutes before I go do something. So, because I'm going bowling. I don't know if I want to admit that. Anyways, it's bowling night, and it's blunt force logic time because daily, it's like we can't get our shit together in a regular sense where we have any just form of logic in this country whatsoever. I do want to bring up one thing real quick. I don't know, the one thing I said like 2 weeks ago, I find it super interesting that the one thing Biden is not taking away from the Trump administration is the Space Force and how we all laughed at that. And now there's about to be this huge UFO file dump, which I find absolutely fascinating. And I kind of said that before. I was like, I feel like if that's the one thing he's not talking about and he's not saying was bad on Trump's end, there might be some shit we're going to be learning about real soon. Anyways, the whole point of blunt force logic is I try to bring up a very, very vivid point of what's going on in a logical stance to all of it. It's not always going to be on the Be the Change page because it is a little bit more rough around the edges. So make sure you're following Anthony Michael Russo on Facebook. It'll probably always be on the Be the Change YouTube page. Anyways, if I get one more Slack message, Nikki and Casey, stop for a split second. Anyways, I'm on my phone. With that said, so Project Veritas, the James O'Keefe, has been removed from Twitter, and I wanted to see how this was covered with the news. So they have removed him off Twitter because they say that he is spamming and he is using deceptive edited video. He has literally shown 30 plus minutes of video that can't really be distorted in its sentences unless the right before, and he said, what I really would James O'Keefe. There it is. I'm back. Okay. So I'm talking about, that totally threw me off. James O'Keefe. And you're actually going to be thinking about the fact that his 30-minute clip can be distorted when they're legitimately words coming out of a man's mouth. This is what always boggles my mind. People look at a 12-second clip of a police-involved shooting or whatever. It's not, shut your dirty mouth, Casey. It's not my internet. I don't know what happened. I had full bars. I think it's just the interwebs don't like me. So you're looking at somebody that had very, very specific footage, then people will say that that's bad and jargon and edited and all this stuff when you can actually look at a 7-second clip of a police-involved shooting and think that you know everything that's going on in it, which brings me to my next point. So, end of that, absolute bullshit that he was removed from Twitter. And you know what? The side that was wanting to win is winning drastically right now because we're just consistently not being allowed to speak our point. And our point is not to say that the other side is wrong. Our point is to say, let's look at this. There's so many different things going on and different angles that we should be looking at in this world to realize that nobody's a racist, hateful piece of shit. Nobody feels certain ways that aren't the way they feel. They just look at things logically, kind of like an Instagram page I was just on talking about, that pretty much anybody that does not support the killing that just happened with Dante Wright, they're a racist. And there can be two wrongs. And she's calling for the firing of the police officer before, and it's already happened. And it's like, okay, the police officer has been arrested. Everything is the way that it's supposed to be. The kid resisted arrest. The guy resisted arrest, and she is currently in jail. It's the way things are supposed to be. 4 days of looting and vandalism and destroying a city and people stealing Nikes out of stores and video. It doesn't make any damn sense. It literally does not make any sense whatsoever. There is nothing that equals it. In this world, we are human. There is mistakes. This has become such a big deal. Yet there is murders happening daily, hourly in bad neighborhoods that nobody gives a shit because they have the no snitch policy. They don't care. They let it go. They just let it be whatever it's supposed to be. It's like it didn't even happen. Yet we care about something that is currently being taken care of the right way. Police officer is in jail. kid, unfortunately, has passed away because he put himself in a bad situation. Officer Tatum did a phenomenal video last night talking about all his criminal background and talking about how no, it does not come into play in that exact moment. But why are we portraying this the same way we did with Trayvon Martin? Like we show the video, the photos of him at the age of 13 instead of 18. Or Michael Brown when he was in band when he was 12 years old instead of the 300-pound straight up thug who just robbed an Asian convenience store right before he got into a fight with a police officer. And now we've got the story in Chicago. And if you watch the videos, I guarantee you, and I knew it, I was waiting on my BuzzFeed or on my phone, and BuzzFeed came up with the first article. If you saw it, it's his last name's, I believe, Tulsa, right? Toledo. I don't know. Anyways, he's a 13-year-old that unfortunately was shot and killed by police. All that's going to be portrayed is there is a split-second image where it looks like his hands are up. I was fooled by this too because I only watched one angle, didn't know what was going on. 8 shots fired within 2 minutes before this happened. They're running up the street. It's 2:30 in the morning. He's a known Latin king. He's with a 21-year-old. And if you do the freeze frame right before his hands go up after he's been chased up an alley, he's got a gun in his hand that he ran away from the cop. It's at night, 2:30 in the morning. And when he turned, there's this quick flash that looks like in any way, given shape or form, that he could be turning Toledo. Thank you. Could be turning to shoot at the police officer. And I know that the rhetoric and the narrative is all going to be his hands were up. You need to watch the full video. You need to watch all the different clips and lead up to the moment. And I feel so bad for this cop. And this one I will fight for. If he ends up getting any kind of punishment at this point, if you were a cop, I would quit. There is nothing you could do right. That was a him or I situation. He was running. He even he had the wherewithal to turn his volume on as he was chasing after this kid. So, of course, the articles that come up to make sure that it seems like there's this massive amount of police killing unarmed black men, because this is not an unarmed black man. And this one we can call a kid because he was 13 years old. I'm sorry, he's a kid. That's unfortunate. But he was also running with the gun, just fired 8 bullets, ran from a police officer, and didn't drop the gun until the police officer went to actually tell him to freeze. This is a split-second mistake. Is it a mistake because his hands were going up? Yeah. But at nighttime, in the middle of the night, after running up a block, after driving incredibly fast, knowing that bullets had just been fired and seeing the butt of a gun when you got there, you can't blame this police officer. Period. End of story. So that's the big one. We've got Project Veritas. We've got, was there anything else absolutely ludicrous today? I'm sure there was. There's more stuff. Well, of course, by the way, Crumb, Blum, Rum, whatever the heck the police officer or the lawyer that follows, he's the biggest ambulance chaser of police violence or quote unquote police brutality. Of course, he took the right case. But this is not me being an asshole. This is not me being a bigot. This is me wanting to change and create change so less black men or any people are killed on a daily basis. I don't want them killed by police, but I sure should want to clean up the communities. You have to clean up both. And when you keep ignoring, like the show we had the other night where we have to just have a discussion where we talk about 2,500 dead black people, black men, black youth, whatever, 2,500 black people killed or more per year. And we're afraid to talk about it, knowing that these areas are going to have different kinds of policing, more nervous police, more illegal firearms, and police have to go in these places and police the area and risk their lives. This is insanity to think that it is their fault when something like the Chicago incident happened. I stand by that police officer, and I stand by the arrest of the officer Kim from Minnesota. That one was a blatant disregard and mistake. She had enough time to know what she was holding, and she even said she made a mistake. That's it. Also, don't fight the police. And the fact that instead of talking about that, we are legitimately condoning this behavior. We are saying this poor kid, he was such a good father. He's not a good father talking about right. He's been doing criminal activity. He had an armed robbery where he tried robbing some girl's house. So clearly he's not at home with this kid. He was at some after party. He was at some after party, and then when he found out the girl was going to get her rent, he tried to rob her at gunpoint with an accomplice. It's aggravated robbery. This is not, your past does not mean you should be killed in the moment. But to keep saying these poor kids, how about stop committing crimes because it could get you hurt? Because if it wasn't the police officer, it's going to do it. It could be a drug deal that goes bad. It could be one of your boys goes bad. Or you could kill somebody. This person could kill somebody else and have a stray bullet hit an innocent person. Come on. So much. Maybe I'll do a second part later. It's time to go bowling. Be the change you wish in the world. Think with logic for one time. Share this video.